Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
Could millions of Americans soon be stuck without any health insurance? President Trump's plan to repeal Obamacare takes another surprising step forward. I'm Mark Liverman in New York, and I'll break down what that means for you.
A new review finds food labels and calorie counts are actually helping consumers make healthier decisions. I'm Kenneth Craig with a look at the new research.
Just ahead of 6:30 on this Monday, Chairlift and Missy O'Malley with you. We'll have that story in a moment. Meantime, our top story this half hour, around 20 million Americans' health care coverage is now in limbo.
Now this after a federal judge in Texas struck down the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare as unconstitutional. CBS's Mark Liverman explains.
Just as Americans were signing up for health care before Saturday's Affordable Care Act deadline, a federal judge in Texas was throwing the entire system's future into question. On Friday, that judge ruled the ACA or Obamacare unconstitutional. A day later, President Trump hailed the decision.
Well, it was a big ruling. It's a great ruling for our country. We'll be able to get great health care. We'll sit down with the Democrats if the Supreme Court upholds. We'll be sitting down with the Democrats, and we will get great health care for our people.
The issue, what's known as the individual mandate, a law requiring people to have health insurance and penalizing them if they don't. But about a year ago, President Trump signed the tax overhaul bill into law, which eliminated that penalty. And that paved the way for this, a lawsuit that argued no tax penalty should mean no Obamacare. U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor sided with that argument. On Sunday, Senator Chuck Schumer called the judge's decision, quote, devastating.
The good news is that the judge seemed way off the deep end, and I am going to ask Senators, Democrats and Republicans, to intervene in the case when it is appealed and say the judge was totally off base.
At the moment, nothing changes for those who are insured under the ACA. The program will remain intact while its future continues to weave its way through the courts, a process that could take from several months to several years. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
Now, Republicans have tried and failed at least 70 times to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act since it came to be in 2010.
6:31 now, meteorologist Matt Elwell joins us. Interesting a little deal this morning when I came to work. I left my house, it was 27 degrees.
Yeah.
When I arrived here at the studios at about 10 after 2, it was 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Just the difference between Belgrade and that. So I love the
there's
weather.
There's a lot of play
that
goes in
happening.
there. There's a little wind. There's some elevation differences. Pretty amazing stuff.
I love that.
Temperatures this morning, same thing going on in West Yellowstone. Look at that. -2 there, 28 in Belgrade. Still about the same temperature as when you left earlier this morning, Chet. Mainly dealing with a few clouds in our skies. I expect to see some snow before we head out of the early part of the week, but I don't think most of us are going to see snow today. If you do, it's mainly in the high mountain regions late in the day. We'll talk more about what you can expect as we head through the week leading up toward Christmas. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Just ahead of 6:32 now on this Monday. A significant milestone is reached as victims of California's car fire continue to rebuild. Mario Montalvo explains.
Out of 1,150 properties with homes or structures damaged by the car fire, all but a handful have been cleaned up.
There are less than 6 parcels left, and those are being cleaned up as we speak. Those are the last ones with difficult access, generally burned private bridges where the bridges had to be repaired or we had to get access from another point.
The job took about 4 months, and now that it's finished, people can finally rebuild. Folks like Rick Lemler, who owns R&D Construction. 15 homes burned on his street, his being one of them. But now he's rebuilding and helping his neighbors do the same.
Right after the evacuations were lifted, my neighbors started contacting me because they knew I was a contractor and I built a few homes on our street, and they all asked if I had time, just put them on my list and let's rebuild the neighborhood.
Lemler is now rebuilding 6 homes for his neighbors on Tilton Mine Road.
And so I felt I should do my street first, and my neighbors, people that I've lived here 22 years with, and help rebuild their houses.
And helping his neighbors rebuild has kept him busy and kept his mind off of the loss he and many others experienced during the car fire.
And after I did see that it was gone, I flipped into contractor mode instead of, being sad. And I mean, it is a bad thing that it happened, but I think that's what helped me get through it. Now I look at my whole street as a project.
By the way, the car fire burned nearly 230,000 acres before being fully contained this summer. More than 1,000 homes were destroyed.
And a new chairlift made its debut on Saturday at Big Sky Resort. MTN's Madaris Bab tells us why it's so unique, making it the only one of its kind, not only in the nation, but in the world.
Lines quickly fill up as skiers and snowboarders anxiously wait to take their first ride on the newest lift at Big Sky Resort. The lift is up and running now, but President of Doppelmayr, Mark B., said his company started construction back in May.
And our crews had never put one of these together before, so, when we signed the contract on March 5th, we knew it was going to be a big challenge.
Doppelmayr had to transport hard-to-find pieces all the way from Austria to construct such a large project. Each chair is equipped with heated seats, an optional weatherproof bubble, and a breathtaking view.
I mean, look at the people. Look at them riding the lift. Look how they're enjoying it. It's a spectacular piece of machinery and a spectacular background.
The Ramcharger is the first 8-person chairlift in North America, and according to Big Sky, the most technologically advanced lift in the world.
It's raising the bar for the rest of North American skiing, and we're excited about it happening here in Southwest Montana.
This evolution of the resort does not go unnoticed, especially by skier Tom Manuel from Red Lodge, who appreciates not having to wait in line as long.
I never used to like it, and now it's world class right out my back door. Once you get out on the runs, they're big, open, and the people disappear.
Now that the lift is open to the public, 3,200 people can be taken to the top of the mountain each hour, something that has never been done at Big Sky before. In Big Sky, Madaris Bab, MTN News.
Very cool. Now, the resort said it hopes to add 3 gondolas to the Ramcharger, 2 for dining and 1 which will house a cabin.
Just as a point of reference, my Versa will comfortably haul 4 people up a hill. So there you go, 6:35 now. New research finds food labels, including nutrition facts and calorie counts at restaurants, are actually helping consumers make healthier decisions. CBS's Kenneth Craig found out how it's working and where people are cutting back.
Aisha Mumford makes it a point to look at nutrition labels when she's shopping for groceries.
And what are you looking for? I'm looking for how much sugar is in there, added sugar, natural sugar, calories, sodium, fat.
Andrew Kay also reads the fine print.
But really it's the charts here, and I'll look at the percentages.
In recent years, it's become hard to avoid nutrition information, from the legally required panels on the back of foods to the promises on the front and the calorie counts on many restaurant menus. Now, new research published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine suggests all that labeling is actually paying off. Lindsay Malone is a nutritionist with the Cleveland Clinic.
What they found was that it did influence consumer behavior, so it had some positive impacts.
Researchers analyzed 60 studies on shopping and eating habits between 1990 and 2014. They found because of nutrition labels, people ate 6.6% fewer calories and cut 10% of the fat from their diet. They also increased the amount of vegetables they ate by 13.5%.
I'm really encouraged by the increase in vegetable consumption. That probably surprised me the most.
But when it comes to other areas like carbohydrates or protein, the review found the labels didn't make a significant impact.
I think it's very important to educate yourself on, on healthy eating.
And nutritionists hope the food labels will lead to more people making better choices. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Or more of us just feeling guilty about what it is we're consuming. The study found nutritional labels also led food manufacturers to put less trans fat and sodium in packaged goods. Actually, it does work. I do read those labels.
And then you feel guilty.
Sometimes severely.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
For sure.
The second Big Mac. In other news, MTN's upcoming episode of Under the Big Sky features Yellowstone grass-fed beef, Eugene's Pizza, and award-winning hip-hop artist and activist, Superman.
All at the same time. Here's a preview of the new episode premiering just in time for Christmas.
Under the Big Sky is sponsored by Rocky Mountain Vein Clinic and Markovich Real Estate.
With all due respect, there is a different story that people like to hear when you're talking about beef. And when you talk about beef in Montana, that's even a different story.
I've been here since I was 11 months old. coming to this same building for basically 50 years. It's just what we do.
They say, hey, we have this rapper, you know, from Crow Agency. Okay, whatever, never heard of this guy.
I don't get stressed out about a lot of stuff, except for talking to people.
That's the way we've done it. We're not going to change. You just have to look back at history. Those ranchers looked at what happened and said, we have to make some major changes.
It just became unique at that moment. It became something different.
You don't see a lot of 80-year-old women working as hard as she does.
Kind of just better get out of her way.
Everybody has to find beauty in all where they're at. But it's just a little easier, in my opinion, to do that in Montana.
Love that. By the way, the new episode of Under the Big Sky premieres Christmas Eve in place of our 10 o'clock news right here on the MTN network. Additional dates and times, head on over to our website.
I do love those stories, those in-depth looks.
So
and so many things I didn't even know about.
So fun. Yeah. Sean does a really nice job with all of that.
Nice job. I do love that.
For sure.
It is time for a quick break. Stay with us. In a moment, we head to the big graduation celebration for MSU Bobcats.
But first, we're going to check in with Bianca Goladriga for a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, the deadline to send your holiday gifts is fast approaching. Chris Van Cleef goes inside a UPS facility to show you how pilots, employees, and even meteorologists are making sure that everything arrives on time. And the co-creators of Hamilton, who just became Kennedy Center honorees, tell John what it took to make the Broadway hit. We'll see you at 7.